Welcome to the podcast, I guess. We're doing this now, which I wasn't totally expecting. People keep telling me to do a podcast and I got bored tonight and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I've kept hearing people in my head saying, do a podcast, do a podcast. And so I guess, well, I'm doing nothing else. So now I'm doing a podcast. Um, I don't know how long it will go for, as in like, um, weeks. Like, do I only do it once and never again? Or will I keep doing this for like a long time? And am I going to do it like every week or every other week? I don't know. We'll find out. But I guess also like just tonight, I don't know how long tonight will go. Just this one, what's it called? Episode? Just this episode. I don't know how long this episode will go. But I guess you do. Cuz it gives you like a timestamp, doesn't it? Or it says how long the episode is going to be. That's kind of nifty that you get to know exactly how long you're in this for, which is kind of wild. I don't think that's ever happened ever before. Nobody in the history of my life has known how long of a story they're in for when I start talking. But now you do. For the first time probably ever, somebody knows exactly how long my story is going to be. Kind of nifty. Okay, anyway. Um yeah, so my setup is wild. It's making me laugh, so we're going to talk about it. Um I I didn't want to stay in my apartment because I don't want to bother other people. My roommate is sleeping right now, so I really didn't want to bother him, although he doesn't wake up to anything. I sneezed once, like right next to him, like really loud. My dad would be proud of that sneeze. And my roommate, he stayed asleep. So I this probably wouldn't be bothering him, but maybe he wakes up, or maybe there are other people in the apartment, so they would probably not enjoy hearing me just ramble on in the other room for seemingly no reason. But so I got in my car and I drove here to the temple, and I'm sitting in its parking lot, which is one of my favorite places to come sit, but that's beside the point. That's why I chose it, actually. So it is the point. That's why I came and sat here, because I like it here. And actually, fun fact, there are so many people here. I didn't realize it was such a popular activity to come and sit in the parking lot of the temple. And nobody parks in the parking spaces the correct way. They all just sit facing the temple, which is kind of spiffy. Makes me feel a little bit less like just some weirdo, because there are other people here, and obviously that means it's not strange. Um, but I do this all the time, even in other places. I used to go to the temple by my house a lot, sit there. I've slept in temple parking lots before. Not this one. I haven't slept here yet, but I've slept in other temple parking lots. Um, and anyway, so that's where I'm at. I'm sitting in my car, and I was trying to find like a good place to put my phone. By the way, fun fact, I have zero recording equipment, which probably doesn't surprise anybody. So I'm just using my phone, which I think anybody who does podcasts would tell me is silly and silly, because you got to get better recording equipment than a phone. But I say, no, that costs money. I'm just going to use my phone. So we're just using my phone. But I had this conundrum. I was like, where do I put my phone? Because there are many places. I could put it on my lap. I could put it on the center console. I could put it in the cup holder. Could put it on the dashboard. So I did a couple of test recordings, putting my phone in different places, seeing where my voice sounded okay and where it sounded like scratchy or distant. And actually, I found one of the best places, unless I want to hold my phone like right next to my face or keep it on my lap, which aren't bad options. But maybe maybe I get sick of sitting here and I want to drive around and talk while I'm driving. So like holding my phone next to my face or trying to balance it on my lap isn't gonna work. So I thought, where else can I put it? And so I put it in the door handle of my door. So it's sitting in the door handle. I wasn't even sure it was gonna stay, but it does. And I even tested it while driving around, and it stays right there. And it actually doesn't sound all that bad. It sounds almost as good as keeping it right by my face, and it sounds way better than keeping it at the center console, which I don't know why, because it's not even that much closer to me. But it sounds good, so that's where it's at. It's in the handle of my door. And then also, I have my water bottle in the cup holder, so it wasn't going to be in the cup holder anyway. Except for there are 2 cup holders, so I guess it could have been. But anyway. And then also, here with me, and this is probably the silliest part, but I have my rubber duck, Gotcham Jr., because I feel really ridiculous talking to nobody. So I'm talking to my rubber duck. It probably looks really silly, but it makes me feel better, because at least I'm talking to somebody. So we have Gotcham Jr. here sitting on my dashboard. And that's my setup. That's my podcast setup for all of its glory. How wonderful it is. Anyway, I don't really have a plan for what I'm going to talk about today, which I never really have a plan for what I'm going to talk about when I start talking. I usually figure it out halfway through the story. And then sometimes I get sidetracked and talk about something else anyway. But I got here and I put my phone in the door. I put my duck on the dashboard, and I started thinking about, well, I guess I should talk about something. So I reached into my center console to grab some sticky notes, and there are no sticky notes. I'm so disappointed in myself. No sticky notes in my car. I've looked everywhere. I have so much stuff. I have sunglasses. I have an umbrella. I have my water bottle. I have my duck. I have chapstick. I have gloves. I have a window scraper. I have part of a chandelier. I have Tylenol. I have a flashlight that's shaped like a light switch. I have candy. I have tissues. I even have a pen. Everything I could ever need is all within arm's reach right here, and I don't have any sticky notes. Even more disappointing, I have like 10 stacks of sticky notes just sitting on my desk at home. And one of those could be in my car, and it's not. I could have used a sticky note real bad today, and I don't have a sticky note. So there's no plan. We're just going, I guess. I think we'll talk about why podcast. Why podcast? Basically, the answer is because people tell me to, which has been happening for a long time. Not podcasts specifically, but the podcast specifically comes from my friend Chris, which it's now occurring to me. I don't know if I'm supposed to use people's real names. Well, I hope it's okay, because I don't think I could do fake names very easily. I think I'd forget and use their real name anyway. But if that's not allowed, well, then that really sucks. Anyway, I keep telling Chris all my stories. He gets to hear them all. And how long ago? I don't know, like a month or so ago, he turns to me and he says, "You need to make a podcast." And I was like, "A podcast?" He says, "Yes, it would be wonderful. You should do a podcast." And every time I told him a story since then, he said, "Yeah, you need to make a podcast." And I was telling a story to Chris and a few other people at like a little party thing we were at for the drumline. And I start telling this story, and Chris again says I need to make a podcast. And then several people around him said, "Yeah, that would be amazing. You should make a podcast. You'd make a good podcast." Which, thank you, by the way, makes me feel good. But also, you have way more faith in me than I have in myself, because I don't think this is going to be a very good podcast, but we're going to try it out and see how it goes. But even before Chris telling me I need to make a podcast, I have had many, many people tell me that I should immortalize this in some way. I was telling a story to one of my roommates today, and I was halfway through the story, and he stops me and he says, you need to like write this down or record yourself. Just like put this, like digitize it in some way so that so that you have it forever. Like, this is amazing. This is good. Which made me feel good. Thank you. But also maybe another reason that I'm here. There's been times where I've been telling stories at home, and my mom or one of my sisters will pull out their phone and either, I don't know, I think sometimes they've done just audio recordings. I don't know if they ever kept any of those, but usually they like, I've had my sisters try to sneak little videos, because sometimes when I tell stories and I get really into it, I start drawing things, or I move my hands around a lot, or I do some silly things, and so it makes them laugh, and they sometimes wish that it was there forever. I guess podcast doesn't have video, so that's kind of sad, but that's also okay because I'm just sitting in my car, so it's not like I'd be doing a lot anyway. But actually, fun story. I bought a whiteboard and markers so that when I'm telling people stories, I can have visual aids, and I keep them in my backpack now, and it's come in handy more than once. That's, yeah, sad fact about me. Well, I don't know about sad. It's embarrassing a little bit, but also not, because it is so useful. You wouldn't believe how useful it is to have a whiteboard and marker when you're telling a story. And I got different colored markers too, so I can do different colors, which I'm way more excited about than any normal person probably should be. Anyway, back on track. One of the times that sticks out to me particularly on this subject was when I was moving from Utah to North Carolina, and I met up in Denver with two of my friends from the battalion. And so there's this mellophone player and this tuba player. They were named Amber and Ryan. Amber plays mellophone. Ryan plays tuba. I'm still unsure if I'm supposed to use real names. Oh well. Anyway, we were sitting there and I was telling him a story. I can't even remember what story I was telling him. Oh, it was the story about how I got proposed to on my first date after my mission, which is a wild story. Maybe we'll tell that one someday. But Ryan, he just had this look on his face that was like almost awe and befuddlement, and he stops me kind of in the middle of my story, and he says, dude, you need to make a TV show or a sitcom or a movie, like a chick flick or a rom-com or a comedy or something. It would be good. Your life is a movie. I think about that probably more than I should, because it was so funny to me. Just the look on his face, and he was like, your life would be so good as a movie or as a TV show. And the other day, I had something happen to me, and I texted my dad, and I said, Dad, my life needs to be a sitcom, because I had something ridiculous happen to me that would just be perfect for a sitcom. It would be so funny. It was so funny in real life. It doesn't have to be a TV show to be funny. Real life can be funny too. Words of wisdom right there. Yeah. So I think that sums up why podcast. Why podcast? This is why podcast. Because people told me to, and I believe in people, and you know, if enough people tell you to do something, it must be good. Right? Right. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how to end this. Am I supposed to say something like snazzy or catchy? I don't know. I'm just gonna say goodbye. Goodbye.